You resemble that remark, right? She go with muffins.
I like those guys, they're kind of grumpy and fat.
I was too old for that.
Good evening and welcome to the September 19th, 2023 regular Salem City Council meeting. It will now come to order. We will have the invocation given by Beth Elms, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Hello, my husband and I are new to Salem, and we're really happy to be here. We just wanted you to know that. We also wanted to thank you for the opportunity that I have to open up in prayer, and thank you for your service for the city. We really enjoy living here. So, would you join me in prayer? Dear Lord, what an honor and privilege it is to lift up our city of Salem, its leaders and residents to you. We know that a nation whose God is the Lord is blessed by you. And the Bible also tells us, but for lack of guidance, a nation falls. So we ask you, Lord, that our leaders as well as our citizens of Salem have hearts that seek after you, be given godly wisdom and understanding, and that we would desire honesty, integrity, and humility. May each decision be made in accordance to the truths of the Bible, and that we would not have the fear of man, but the courage to be steadfast in following you and your ways. May we be encouraged by these words from Proverbs 2. God holds success in store for the upright. He is a shield to those whose walk is blameless, for he guards the course of the just and protects the way of his faithful ones. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Gano. Mr. Newman. Mr. Knoll.
Present.
Mr. Pleggy.
Present.
Mr. Stockman.
Present.
Mr. Zellers.
Here.
And Mr. Faber is here.
Is there a motion to excuse Mr. Gano, Mr. Knoll, and a second? Mr. Newman. I'm Stockman, excuse me.
Yeah, I'm making notes here. Mr. Knoll.
Yes.
Mr. Pleggy.
Yes.
Mr. Stockman.
Yes.
Mr. Zellers.
Yes.
And Mr. Faber votes yes.
Thank you. Is there a motion to excuse Mr. Newman, Mr. Stockman, and a second? Mr. Pleggy.
Mr. Knoll.
Yes.
Mr. Pleggy.
Yes.
Mr. Stockman.
Yes.
Mr. Zellers.
Yes.
And Mr. Faber votes yes as well.
Thank you. Everyone has received the minutes from the September 5th meeting. Are there any additions, changes, or deletions? We do not have petitions this evening. I do not believe we have any visitors. So moving on to the report of city officials, Mayor Dickey.
Thank you. I'd like to tell you first that we are going to be having trick or treat on October 31st from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. This week we've been very busy since the last meeting, working on the budget for next year and working on raises for non-bargaining employees now that all but one of our unions have settled on their wage agreements. So Betty's been a great assistance with this, doing the bulk of the work on getting all the figures together for us after we talked to everybody about it. We've had to meet with the Parks Department and the Health Department and the Utilities Department separately because they have their own budgets and their own funding sources. So we are working very hard to finalize those things so that the budget will be complete for you in time to get all your votes in before the first of the year. And since this is the last budget that Betty will be preparing, I'm so happy that I'm to sit here and figure that out with her explanation and guidance. We also had a bid opening on the 12th for the Lincoln Plaza project, and so that will start to be underway shortly. We had a ribbon cutting on the 14th for a new business in town, Bake Me Treats, which is in Courtyard Square. We had Superheroes Saturday on the 9th in the Second Street parking lot, as well as what DSP was doing in the Kent City Center. They had brought in Dean Cain, who was Superman from Lois and Clark on TV in the past. And we had all of our own Salem superheroes down in the parking lot. A lot of our policemen and the canines, the fire department, the streets department, the parks department. We had music down there, and popsicles and juice boxes and things like that that were given out free to children and families that came down and visited us. We also had a couple special visitors while we were down there that day, Batman and Superman, not the one that was in the city center, and some other people who, I'm not really up on some of those animated ones, but they were all very nicely costumed, and we really appreciated them coming in and seeing the children and participating. We also had the electrician there, and he had his bucket truck, and that was kind of a hit. So that's some of the things that we've been doing since the last meeting. We also are updating our website so that it will have some nice pictures and a little nicer format, so for our citizens to be able to get through our information about the city and find it more easily. Because our contract for that is up at the end of the year, so we wanted to just update it and make sure that it's reflective of what the city is and marketing our city. So that's all I have for tonight. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer that. Mr. Zellers?
How many bids did you receive?
How many bids? 3.
What time is Halloween?
5 to 7.
Any other questions for Mayor Dickey? Thank you. The Law Director, Attorney Zellers.
Thank you, Madam President. I don't have an official report, but I'd like to welcome you folks to Salem. As new residents, we appreciate you coming in and taking an interest, and thank you for that. That's all I have.
Questions for Attorney Zellers? Thank you. Treasurer Rumpire, did you want to speak tonight?
Thank you, Madam President, Madam Mayor, council members. Just want to stop in and give you a hello. I haven't seen you guys for a while, so I thought I would say hi. I got a couple things I'd like to go over. First off, tax collection remains steady for the year, so that's a good thing. The investment board, comprised of the mayor, the auditor, myself, and we had the superintendent of utilities there on February 14th. And we all agreed that the investments that the city currently has with Farmers National Bank, a money market and a sweep, we're going to keep those in place. The money market is earning 3.3% with the sweep earning 4.73%. So that's a pretty good interest rate. So we're going to keep them there. You should all receive the packet or the information I put on your desk today regarding the refund that Rita gave us. If you look on the second page, in your instance, we got a refund of $116,000. That's for, how that's based is Rita calculates some kind of ratio between all the 85 counties that they service and what it costs them to collect the revenue is then distributed out as a refund to everybody else. So if it's 2.6% is what they originally thought at any certain point in time of the contract beginning for that year, and it only cost them 1.6% to collect, we get that difference. So that's where that came from. I had one more thing I forgot. One other thing that the auditor and I have decided to do was, originally Rita was collecting our delinquent taxes for us. Rita did that at a cost to the city, which means if a certain taxpayer was delinquent $100, Rita would take their fair share of it, maybe 10% of it. So $10 would go to them, and the city would get the $90 back. The Attorney General's office offers this service for free. So we are starting to utilize that particular service with the Attorney General's office. The delinquent party pays the fee plus the city's taxes due. So we get 100% of it instead of the 90 or whatever percent it might be. So, okay? Any questions? Mr. Knoll?
So as far as the refund we got this year from Rita, how's that compare to last year?
I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
Okay?
And so the total cost to the city this year to have Rita?
This is 2022.
Okay, I'm sorry, the most recent year, the cost for the most recent year for the city to have Rita as our tax collection agency is what was the total cost then? Was it the 81 less the 197?
Yes.
And how does that, oh, I already asked that, so, yeah, I just like to know what
Yep.
we paid.
I will email you that question, or that answer.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Zellers?
Mr. Mopar, do we ever get an audit on Rita?
An audit on Rita. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. An audit on what? I mean, what they're collecting for us?
Does Rita ever get audited?
I would assume they do, yes.
So do we ever get a copy of it?
I can ask if you would like that. I don't know particularly if they get audited, and I don't know what the standing is on that audit.
They actually have the status of a political subdivision. So
Okay.
they are audited by the state, through the state auditor's office. But I'm not aware that we ever received that. I've never seen it. It doesn't mean it doesn't come here. Betty'd be the better one to ask, but I'm not aware. of it.
I don't know of it. I don't know of it. So, I mean, I can get that for you if you would like, Mr. Zellers. I can call our representative and get that for us. Would you like me to do that?
I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get that for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is that it? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Safety and Services Director, Mr. Capozello.
No report this evening, Madam President. Answer any questions.
Thank you. Parks Director, Mr. Franks.
Thank you, Madam President. I have no official report this evening.
Thank you. Report of Standing Committees, the Finance Committee, Mr. Knoll.
Thank you, Madam President. All I have tonight is the minutes from the 9/5/23 meeting. I will read those into record this evening. The Finance Committee met September 5th, 2023 at 6 PM. Members present, Andrew Knoll, Steve Faber, Jake Gano, Jeff Stockman. Also in attendance, Mayor Cindy Dickey, Auditor Betty Brothers, Joe Capizzello, Dennis Plagy, Ron Zellers, and Sarah Baranzi. The committee meeting was called to discuss an appropriation ordinance and the tax split. Auditor Brothers went through the appropriation ordinance line by line for the committee. There were no additional questions. A motion was made and passed 3-0 to move the ordinance to council. Mrs. Brothers discussed the tax split briefly with the committee. She presented a rough draft of the general fund and wanted the committee to be aware the split may have to be changed in January. Currently, the split is at 82.5 to 17.5. As we get closer to completing the budget, it will be clearer if we have to do anything. Mrs. Brothers also discussed a money market account. The Utilities Department borrowed $3 million for the Snyder Road project, and the project is now complete. She would like to close this money market account and transfer the money into another money market account with more funds to earn more interest. Auditor Brothers wanted to make sure the Finance Committee was notified of the transfer. Meeting adjourned. That's the conclusion of the minutes.
Thank you. Public Services Committee, Mr. Zellers.
Thank you, Madam President. I have no report.
Thank you. Residential Committee, Mr. Pluggy.
I have no report.
Thank you. Rules and Ordinances, Mr. Stockman.
Thank you, Madam President. My committee did meet on September 5th, and I'd like to read the minutes into record. We met at 6:30 on September 5th, 2023. Members present were Jeff Stockman, Andrew Knoll, Dennis Plagy, Mayor Cindy Dickey, Auditor Betty Brothers, Joe Capizzulo, Steve Faber, Jake Gano, Ron Zellers, and Sarah Bronzy. Mr. Stockman called the meeting to order. The first item to discuss was fencing for the swimming pools. Currently, the city does not have an ordinance for fencing around private swimming pools. Mr. Stockman pointed out some example ordinances from other cities. I stated that this needs to be considered for in-ground pools for obvious safety reasons. Mr. Knoll questioned if pools were currently installed that do not meet this requirement would be grandfathered or given a certain amount of time to comply. Mr. Stockman stated that they would be given a certain amount to comply with this new ordinance. A motion was made to pass the information to the law director to create an ordinance and forward to council. Motion passed. The second item was discussed was a zoning change. Adrian Willoughby addressed council about the old Ohio Edison building, near the old Ohio Edison building. He would like to lease the property for a business, but the zoning at this property does not allow for the use of storage of automobiles or processing of scrap metal. He'd not be salvaging scrap metal, he would be salvaging used parts to sell to a third party, and they'd be taking the scrap metal. The property sits in an industrial area and requires fencing. He detailed the process of his business, which includes a vehicle would go behind the fence. Within 2 to 8 weeks, the vehicle would get fully disassembled. All parts that are usable would be put on a website to be sold. All unusable items would be put into a dumpster or scrap hopper behind the fence to be removed. He stated he has people traveling long distances to get to his shop. His current shop, Wilmac Auto Parts, is located at 258 East Ohio in Sebring, across from the fire department. He does not have a fence in Sebring and currently does not have a state salvage motor vehicle license for his business. Mr. Willoughby stated that based on the wording of the current ordinance, the zoning officer would not allow the business. It just states the ordinance. The committee agreed the next step would be meet with the Board of Zoning Appeals to present his business plan to them. That completed finished up that meeting. I would like to point out that I would like to call a Rules and Ordinances meeting for prior to our next committee meeting, which is next October 3rd at 6 o'clock. We're going to be going over an animal ordinance verbiage in the animal ordinance. Also discussing ambulance review board membership. Those are the two items on the docket. And that's at 6 o'clock on October 3rd. And that's all I have, Madam President.
Thank you. The Safety Committee, Mr. Faber.
Thank you, Madam President. My committee has not met, and I have no report.
Thank you. And Committee of the Whole, Mr. Knoll.
The Committee of the Whole has not met, so therefore I have no report.
Great, thank you. As far as introduction of ordinances, Mr. Knoll, you have our resolution tonight, Resolution 53.
I would like to move to table the resolution until further notice.
Is there a second?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Stockman?
Would you like me to explain?
Yeah.
Okay, so without revealing what was done in executive session, the issue right now is possibly not in play. So there's not really a need to pass that tonight. Plus, with only 5 members, you couldn't
Quorum
waive
limit.
statutory rules anyway, so it's no rush.
Great, thank you. We'll just need to do a vote for the tabling.
Mr. Knoll,
Yes.
Mr. Pleggy,
Yes.
Mr. Stockman,
Yes.
Mr. Zellers,
Yes.
and Mr. Faber votes yes as well.
Great, thank you. Resolution 53 is tabled. And then pleasure of council, Mr. Stockman.
I would like to welcome the guests that came. I really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you very much. It's nice to see how the city works, I assume. That's really all I have. It was just really nice that you came.
Mr. Pleggy.
I too like to welcome the new family to Salem. Just to let you know, and the rest of the city, is October 26th, I have the Halloween parade that I put on every year. Starts at the Memorial Building, goes down to Broadway. So welcome as many children there as we can get. So appreciate it. Thank you.
October 26th?
Yes.
The 26th. Yeah.
Mr. Zellers.
Thank you, I have nothing.
Mr. Faber.
Thank you,
Nice.
Madam
Very
President.
nice.
Thank you, Madam President. Just like to welcome our guests. Welcome to Salem. Look forward to meeting you. And that's all I have.
I would also like to welcome you to Salem and Mr. Mill.
I guess I could just wrap it up by saying welcome, so you guys should feel extremely welcome, at least in this room tonight, so, no, thank you. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.
Sorry, Mr. Jones.